Have you ever received that phone call or maybe a text where you could feel your heart sink? You stood there frozen, not sure how to respond to the information. My phone call came nearly 10 years ago. It was Thanksgiving Day. I was visiting my future in-laws, my fiance, who's my wife now, and my phone rang. It was one of my good friends from college. I hadn't spoken with him in a while, so I was excited to speak to him. But within seconds of hearing his voice, I knew he was going to give me some bad news. So I began bracing myself, kind of preparing myself for what he's going to tell me, but I wasn't ready. He starts talking about one of our closer friends that we mutually had, who on that day, he suddenly passed away unexpectedly. I stand there hearing that information, not sure how to respond. You know, up to this point in my life, I had experienced some heartache. Through broken family relationships, I've experienced heartache through family accidents that were life-altering. But up to this point in my life, hearing that information, that news about my friend, I had never experienced sudden loss in that way. And that started me on this journey. It was brief, but it started me on this process where I really started to question if God existed. I started to wonder, what if I had a godless worldview? How would that look? It just doesn't seem right that a good friend, a good person, even one who believes in a God, believes in the God of the Bible, that this could happen to him. So I started to wonder, how then could a godless person cope with loss? And something I found out through some of my thinking and some of my reading, I realized that really all they have to cope with is each other. Now that makes sense to me, because we have friends, we have family, and sometimes bad things happen, and who helps us through it? It's our friends and our family. So that made sense, but then I started to think, because of personal experience, what happens if the ones that are supposed to love you the most, the ones that are supposed to care for you the most, and the ones that you're supposed to trust the most, what happens when they are the ones who cause the hurt or the suffering? And that was a very difficult question to deal with, and ultimately through that journey, because of that question, because I felt like it would all fall apart, then we would have no one, we'd be lonely, and it was because of that, it brought me back full circle to the Christian worldview. Evil is here. Evil is a part of the brokenness of our world, and we experience suffering and pain as a result. But because God is loving, He suffers with us. And He suffers so much and He hates it so much that He did something about it in His Son, Jesus. And so, through all that process, ultimately I came back to Jesus' words in Matthew 11, where He tells His disciples, "Come to me, all you who are weary and heavy burdened, and I will give you rest." And because of that, I believe that it's the power of Christ and the power of the gospel that can help us come through the pain and the suffering and find salvation in Him.